Welcome to this poetry session. Today we shall cover A Roadside Stand by Robert Frost. The poem brings out the plight of the rural people who find it hard to make a living out of their humble business of selling fruits. I will take you through a stanza-by-stanza explanation of the poem, followed by theme and literary devices. So stay tuned and take notes. Let's examine the first few lines. The poet begins the first stanza by describing a small old house situated at the edge of the road, along with its small fruit stall. The traffic often passes by this roadside stand. This roadside stand is built here with the hope of attracting the traffic. But it's not begging for food or ration. It hopes to make some money. The same money which helps the city life flourish and prevents it from dying in misery and poverty. Let's consider these next few lines. The poet describes the traffic as polished, because it stands for the so-called refined, rich and cultured people of the city. But this polished traffic passes by the roadside stand without paying it any attention. Even if a vehicle does stop by, it's only out of annoyance, complaining that the beauty of the landscape has been spoiled by the shabby paint of signboards. And moreover, the directions north and south have been turned wrong. This roadside stand offers wild berries in wooden crates, golden squash with silver marks on them, and even a relaxing time with a beautiful view of the mountains. So when the passers-by complain about the spoiled beauty of the scenery or wrong signboards, the farmer gets annoyed and even offended. He says that if the city folks want to be mean, they can keep their money and go along. These lines voice out poets' concern towards rural people. They also voice out farmers' frustration at being deluded by the government. The poet does not have any complaint about the spoiled beauty of the scenery. Rather, he bemoans the unfulfilled promises made to these farmers. These farmers install their fruit sheds outside the city with the hopes and promises of making a livelihood. They want to grow and progress, because that's what they have seen in glamorous Hollywood movies, that everyone can be successful and rich. They suspect that the government is stopping them from leading such a successful and prosperous life as promised in the movies. This stanza focuses on the manipulative and greedy schemes of the government. The news report that the government plans to buy out the farmland of these pitiful people and move them into the cities, near the theatre and convenience stores. Therefore, these people won't have to think for themselves or worry about making money or basic necessities of life. While this might seem like a generous and beneficial scheme, it is actually meant to serve the selfish interests of the authorities, who pretend to help these rural people. These greedy bureaucrats and selfish government officials try to dominate the lives of simple rural folk and force new schemes of benefit which are crafted to destroy their traditional, simple, old ways of living. By providing them these city life facilities, the greedy authorities try to satisfy the poor people so that they don't ask for more. These lines express farmers' sad hopes, which makes the poet sad too. These lines highlight the indifferent and insensitive attitude of the city people who pass by without stopping. The farmer waits all day sadly, looking out from the nearby window, praying for a car to stop by. Hardly 1 out of 1,000 cars stop by, and that too for only inquiring the cost of the items on display. Another car stopped only to use the yard to turn around, thereby plowing the grass. Another car only asked the direction in which the road was headed. And one car just crossed all limits of common sense. It only stopped to ask a ridiculous question: if the farmer could sell some gas. This made the farmer angry, as it was obvious he didn't sell gas. In the last stanza, the poet voices out the disappointment and anguish of the country people. They have never been able to acquire enough money to uplift their condition. The poet deeply feels for the pathetic lot of these people. In utter frustration and hopelessness, he reflects that it would be a great relief to put these people out of their misery. That is, to euthanize them before the rural population gets more impoverished. But the next day, as the poet thinks more sensibly, he puts himself in their shoes. He wonders how he would feel if someone makes the same choice for him, that is, putting him out of his misery. This concludes the explanation of the poem. The poem addresses a number of issues. It highlights the difference between the simple rural folks and the rich urban people. The rural folks are dazzled by the fabulous city life and try to make money by installing fruit stalls outside cities. On the other hand, the city people don't care to pass even a glance at their sheds. The poem conveys that the urbanized world is slowly destroying the traditional rural way of life. Rural people used to live a simple life in their ancient ways, that is, growing crops on their farms and feeding their families. But urban life devalued this style of living. Consequently, these country people had no other option but to catch up with the urban lifestyle, which glamorizes money and luxury. The poet also criticizes the government officials for deluding the simple rural people. Let's discuss the literary devices used in the poem. Metaphor. Cities are compared to a flower. Just as flowers are kept from withering through nurture and care, similarly, extra cash helps cities to bloom and flourish. Alliteration can be noted in the following instances. Pathetically pled, greedy good doers, beneficent beasts of prey. Oxymoron can also be observed. Two opposite words have been put together. Greedy good doers, beneficent beasts of prey. Transferred epithet is used in polished traffic and selfish cars. The poet has described traffic as polished and cars as selfish, instead of describing their drivers as such. Personification has been used in the line, "A roadside stand that too pathetically pled." The poet has described the roadside stand as a beggar pleading for money. It has also been used in the lines, "Sadness that lurks near the open window there, that waits all day." Farmers' sadness has been personified. That concludes our today's poetry session. I hope you found it useful. Thanks for watching.